In this video, I'm going to share the 8 most influential large ensemble jazz albums. On me! So before I get into the actual list, I want to state my criteria. So these albums have all been super impactful on me personally. This is Elliot Deutsch's top 8 large ensemble jazz albums. So this doesn't mean they're the most influential on everybody, they're the most influential on me. Also, I'm only going to include albums that you can stream right now on Spotify or Apple Music. Before I get to the list, if you like videos like this, hit subscribe. I've been releasing about one a week, and who knows how long I'm going to keep going, but you don't want to miss any of them. Subscribe, hit that like button, and also please check out my Patreon. That really keeps me producing videos like this on a regular basis. It helps encourage me, and your help goes a long way. These albums are in no particular order, but that said, number 1 on my list is the Count Basie album, Basie Straight Ahead. If you haven't listened to this, the track I'd really push you toward first is Hey Burner. All the tracks on this album were written by Sammy Nestico, who's, although he passed away recently, has through his entire career been one of the most important arrangers and composers of big band music, and a huge monumental impact on my musical sensibilities. Number 2 on my top 8 list is going to be the Thad Jones and Mel Lewis album, Consummation. This was sort of a toss-up between Consummation and Central Park North. But Consummation won out because it's the one that includes the track Tiptoe, which is amazing. All the tracks on this album are amazing, but Tiptoe is a highlight for me. Consummation is the album. Number 3 is Patrick Williams' 1970s album, Threshold. I can't overstate how hip this album is, even today. And the track that I draw you to is called And on the Sixth Day. It's the opening track on the album. Really, this, like all the other albums on my list, are turn them on and just listen to the whole bloody albums. This is one of them. Check it out, Patrick Williams' Threshold at number 3. Number 4. Wasn't going to escape my list. The other person whose face is on my wall, Don Ellis, with his album Soaring. This was the first Don Ellis album that I heard. It's the one that contains Whiplash, the title track from the movie Whiplash. It was first recorded on the Don Ellis album Soaring, but I would draw your attention to a deeper cut called Go Back Home that is sort of the quintessential rockin' big band, and I really pull a lot of my stylistic cues from Don Ellis, and specifically from this album, Soaring. Number 5 is the TomKubis Big Band's album, At Last. TomKubis is a seminal Los Angeles area arranger. Really second to none as far as breadth of work, and really way up there in terms of just consistency and quality. And At Last is one of his early albums that really highlights what he can do as an arranger. And I draw your attention to his arrangement of Bill Bailey. It has an entire chorus ensemble a cappella soli, which is awesome. And I contend you have not listened to large ensemble jazz until you have checked out TomKubis' big band, specifically Bill Bailey on the album At Last. Number 6 on my list is Gordon Goodwin's Big Fat Band's second album, XXL. And Gordon has produced an incredible body of albums over the past 20 years. But this one still ranks as my favorite. Among an embarrassment of riches, honestly. This, as his second album, still has sort of that classic big band sound, but it has a lot of really exciting guest artists like Take 6 and Brian McKnight and Michael Brecker. Michael Brecker actually guests on the highlight of the album, which is a track called A Game of Inches. So if you haven't checked this out, definitely look up XXL and listen to A Game of Inches. Number 7 on my list is Bob Mintzer Big Band and their album Incredible Journey. This is back when Bob Mintzer lived in New York. And it's an incredible album. Every single track is like a big band composition magnum opus. They all have their own character and are unlike how other people write, but still with that kind of accessibility that resonates with me personally and my sensibilities. And the highlight for me on this album is a track called Computer. But that's among, a whole album's worth of tracks that are all excellent. Before I get to number 8, I want to throw in a couple of honorable mentions and explain why they didn't make it onto the actual list. All right, the first one is Clayton Hamilton Jazz Orchestra's album Live at MCG. Now, this is an excellent, excellent live album and has a lot of John Clayton's best work performed live by the Clayton Hamilton Jazz Orchestra, which honestly is the best way to appreciate that band. Absolutely my favorite band to see live, and that is neck and neck with a lot of really great bands in the Los Angeles area, but my absolute favorite is Clayton Hamilton Jazz Orchestra. And the highlight on this album is called Squatty Roo, and the reason that this didn't make it on my list is I wanted to put one of the studio albums on my list, but they are not on the streaming platforms. So while John Clayton's music is incredibly influential and held close to me, I set a goal of only including things that you could stream right now. And while you can stream their live album, and you should, the albums that would have made the list aren't available. So, sorry. The second honorable mention is an honorable mention because I'm not sure whether people would agree with me that it is a large ensemble jazz album. And that is Roy Hargrove's RH Factor doing their album Hargrove. He made 2 albums, both are excellent, and both are in my regular rotation. I might have listened to Hargrove more than I've listened to a lot of the other albums on this list, and while it has the sensibilities of a neo-soul album, or in other ways, a jazz combo album, the arranging that went into the production of these tracks is such that I would include it along with other large ensemble albums. And the way that Roy Hargrove layered himself, he would take, you could tell the production was he'd take an improvised solo and then he would harmonize to that solo. And what you're hearing later when you're listening to the album is 3 or 4 layers of Roy Hargrove playing an improvised solo. It's amazing, and it deserves repeated listen especially if you're trying to understand where my sensibilities come from. All right, and to finish off this list, this should come to no surprise to anyone that's been following my ensemble, Pandemonium Big Band. And the number 8 most influential album on my list is the Buddy Rich Big Band's The Roar of '74. That album is the one that contains Time Check. Also check out Backwoods Sideman. Or Nutville. I mean, it's an incredible album. It has so much energy. I can't even begin to describe how much energy oozes out of your speakers when you put on The Roar of '74. It's unbelievable, and even though the album is pushing 50 years old, it is one of the most exciting large ensemble jazz albums I've ever heard, and I recommend that you listen to it very, very highly. All right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this list. A lot of people were asking for a listening list, kind of like this, and this is what you get. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want more lists, please comment that you want more lists. And if you hated this, or you think I left something off that should have gone on my most influential albums for me, tell me in the comments. Or hit me to some new stuff that I should know about. Don't forget to hit subscribe, check out the Patreon, and until next time, goodbye.